And talking about all of this drinking and doing drugs, we're seeing the mental capacity of people breaking down. I'm just going to give you a couple of little stats here, and I could pass this slide deck to y'all so you can have. But depression is one of the top absenteeism productivity losses, and it's increasing. We have seen a total huge increase in panic attacks and depression and things like that while people are working from home. Trying to juggle kids at home, the spouse at home, the spouse working, they're working, kids are jumping all over you. Now with the school, you got to train your kids, and you're not a teacher, and now I got to be a teacher. This is getting to people, and we're seeing a lot of these panic attacks, a lot of mental situations, and what's the other one? The bipolar disorder situation. I wonder if that's increased double by in the last 3 or 4 months too. So it is increasing. I'm glad to hear that in the telemedicine, Robert, you're talking about doing the behavioral health piece. I think that could be a great move. But the other thing that we want to make sure that companies have, and it's very small cost, is an employee assistance program. A lot of times it's connected to life and short and long-term disability policies. Sometimes it's part of a medical plan. And if you don't have one, I could help you in finding one. We have a great source that we use for employee assistance programs, but it is a very interesting phenomenon, what's going on in that area today. Recruiting, I had a whole different opinion on HR trends and recruiting just before COVID, because we would talk about less than 4%. In some cities, it's less than 1% unemployment, and how to go out and get your people and get them fast. But now, with unemployment at 10%, interesting, the people that got hired in the last 3 or 4 months, they haven't seen the inside of their company building. And some of them have quit over no communications with their companies, hardly, no training. So we got to make sure that when we recruit new people, we train them. And of course, training right now is probably Zoom and team meetings and putting them on 30-day and 90-day programs of this is what you're going to learn, this is what I want you to go on and learn today, and access to the systems and all of that stuff so that they could be part of the company. I have had several companies go and videotape the insides of their buildings so that the new employees could see what their company looks like inside. So worry about that non-communication of brand new employees. Also, we're seeing that there are some companies that say, I got a couple people that in my organization that's kind of like weak links. So they're asking me, hey, I thought I heard that we're not going to get hit for unemployment and unemployment history during the COVID. And that is true. Georgia has announced it. Most states have announced that the history for increases on your taxes for unemployment is usually based on how much you use out of your pool in a year. And then next year you get your hit for, if you use a lot of it, you're going to get an increase. Well, they said over this COVID period, they are not going to do a history look to increase anybody's unemployment. Now, that doesn't mean unemployment's not going to go up, because remember, when we had the economic crisis in 2009 and 10, and people started getting their bills in 2011, unemployment went up. And the reason why is because the coffers went down. You know, everybody drained that $5 billion of money that was sitting in coffers to pay for unemployment. That's going to happen again, but it won't be based on history of that company. So we're seeing some companies taking advantage of that, getting rid of those couple of weak links and going and hiring people right now. So use it as an advantage if a company sees that they could use it. Also on benefits, this is probably the biggest statement I want to say here is this is probably not the time to nickel and dime the employees on reducing, increasing your deductibles or increasing your out-of-pockets just because the benefit plan increased a couple of pennies. Be worried about employees looking at this stuff and they're making a lot of choices or a lot of decisions right now if they want to stay with you after COVID. And they're looking at seeing how you're treating them during this COVID situation. So be worried about knocking your benefits so out that they feel that you're really hitting them, not only by the pocketbook and expenses because of this COVID, but now their benefit increases, and you probably won't be able to get them a raise this year because business isn't that great. Part-time employees is another trend that's happening. More and more companies are hiring part-time people to fill jobs, job sharing, things of that nature. And with that, you might relook your benefit plans and not only give benefit to full-timers. You might want to give them to part-timers as well. It doesn't have to be as rich. You don't have to pay as much in the contribution area for it, but at least to allow an employee to have that benefit could be a huge plus to your organization. So plan early, look at all your options, because it could probably retain your employees. And if you're below 10 employees and you're having a real problem seeing 30-40% increases on your benefits, there are some other resources available. So if you see any of that, give me a call and we could probably discuss some of those things. Another trend that's happening, a lot of companies had a policy that said no weapons. You cannot carry a weapon no matter if you had an authorization to have a concealed weapon with you or not. And now companies are changing their policies, changing their statements in their handbooks, allowing some people with the owner or CEO's approval in writing to carry weapons. They want that comfort of some people inside of their buildings having weapons, just in case you have, an ex-employee that you fired that decides to come in with a gun and start shooting people. And also all the other things that are going on in America today. So interesting phenomenon. Of course, you probably saw the news on what's going on with weapons. They can't keep them in stock. People are buying them like crazy because they want to be protected, and they feel that just having that little weapon in their inventory of things to protect themselves is almost a must today. So we never thought that day was coming, but it is now here. And just a few sentences on FlexHR, adding that value. Interesting, especially with COVID starting up. they're calling us. If you ever saw that, the TV show, Do You Want to Be a Millionaire? We are now being considered phone a friend. They're calling us up to for that subject matter expert, helping them do that. We are getting more and more clients wanting to outsource their HR departments because they seen that they don't have the depth of things that, like a COVID situation that will happen. And when we outsource, there is no dual employment. We're not a PEO. We are absolutely just an outsourced HR way of doing things. And employees are the client's employees. They're not any affiliation with anybody else or get a check from anybody else. They're an employee of the client we service. Let me open it up to questions.
Hey, Jim, I have one. So in your estimation, I'm not sure if you can put a percentage on it, but how much has COVID cost a lot of companies to their bottom line as an expense?
That's a very, very interesting question because there are some companies that just are really struggling hard at making it. I think most of my clients went out and got a PPP loan. I think that's probably the only savior of that. But yet they're higher costs. They went out and paid some employees hazard pay for working at home and being productive at home. So that costs money. A couple of my printing clients have lost money. A lot of my veterinarian clients that are essential business probably have estimated a good 15 to 20% revenue reduction. And some of it is that they're not bringing in their animals for the just basic checks or teeth cleaning. Also, it's taking them longer to do a service because they have to go to the curb, pick up the animal, bring it in, bring it back out, find where the client is in the parking lot to take the animal back to them. I have a scaffolding company that does scaffolding for all the major construction areas, and they put just about 90% of their people on furlough, but what's happening? They're paying the benefits, and that's probably 10, 11% of payroll that they're still keeping because they want to keep their employees. So I would say small estimate would be 10% up to 25% of costs more for COVID. And of course, you're spending more. People are bringing their employees back. They're buying all the wipes and the sprays and the gels and all of that stuff that costs money. Trying to keep buying computer equipment for people to work at home has hurt some of my clients that I've seen. So absolutely, there's a cost of doing business. Luckily, I see probably 95, 98% of my clients staying pretty strong in business and still not having to lay off a lot of people, down to not laying off anybody. So that's good. But yes,